my goodness. What's my good cheer? Da 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 da. Sometimes I just gotta laugh about just the silly things and those detailings and those I don't know. It's not the nitpicking, right? It's in that little bit of procrastination before I hit that live button. And sometimes I just have to say, geez, and I hit that live button. I have to laugh at myself because in my mind I'm going, oh my goodness, you forgot to iron your hair. Sydney, fix your ponytail. Fix your ponytail. And I have to laugh at myself because, right? That's only my concern about what other people might think about me. And that's why I laugh about myself because, I am slowly trying to integrate some of these lessons that, I'm okay just the way I am, just the way I show up. I've managed to keep this brand going, right? For almost 10 years. I'm in my ninth year on YouTube. Absolutely amazing. And in that process, I've learned so much about myself. And what a grace, what a gift that I had the unknowing insight because it just kind of in that idea of making choices and moving forward that I kind of ended up sharing this. And I think not just me, but I think so many people and so many other souls that kind of move in the middle, right? That we sometimes don't come to the surface. It's just the way we swing. It's just in our programming. It truly is. And it's in our experiences that I think whoever or whatever finds the best and most suited host for the task at hand, right? And this task, for the most part, just meant bumbling along, feeling your way along, making those choices, trying to enjoy yourself. And for the most part, I have to say, it's working out pretty good. I'm so excited. My new modem come today. And yeah, I'm going to hook it up tonight. And we're going to have super duper internet. Right? To go with my new laptop. Like, things are moving so much better for me. It was a matter of sourcing out some of those questions and some of those solutions that just starting to Google. And that's how it all started with me was just Googling the question because I was brought up, and in my programming I was brought up not to ask, right? Not to impose myself on others, right? To not be seen, let alone be heard. And, kind of a lot of those kind of personality traits clung on to me as an adult. And some of them have served me very, very well in those timidness and those things that I think that are not right, or those things that I think standoffish because no, you don't see anybody else doing it and stuff. But I'm learning again through my experiences, conversations, lessons that truly isn't the case for the most part. And that's a truth. And it's just a matter of, right, just starting to move, making some choices for yourself, and just moving, and just keep moving, right? Stumbling, and right, because when you want something, right, what was that saying my dad used to say? God helps those who help themselves. I'm non-denominational, right? But I do believe there is something or someone beyond us that is helping and, well, assisting us in our movement forward, in our evolution. And I think for the most part, I have been bumbling on, right? And not I, but as we move forward, right? Right? and I don't presume to have answers to anything, but also in those boundaries, those self boundaries. It's just not making boundaries to the people and the situations around me. Sometimes it's boundaries in those relationships and situations within me. I know, you guys, but in being genuine, right? If you got that, then you'll be able to read a little bit in between, because this journey that I am on, it is very much a Google journey, right? Sometimes it's in that being the first to take the step, to try something out, to experiment in trying to save mankind. And probably other people are, but because I'm connected only with what I'm connected with, I'm unaware of it, but I am contributing, I think, in that. So, right, my relationship with Google is kind of selfish on one point, because, you know, I have this idea that maybe, right, if I'm right in these beliefs of mine, that, parts of us do carry on from lifetime after lifetime, right? We're only the beginnings of technology in this digital, we're just in the beginning, right? This is just what our imagination is capable of imagining now, but somewhere's down the road, right? This will all be data and have a better understanding, so that maybe people will be able to move. Maybe Google, right, will be able to. Here's a good analogy. This is a really good one. The Beatles just released a new song. They did. All of them, John Lennon included, but they included John Lennon in the song of an old track that Yoko Ono gave to them. But he was playing on the piano and he was singing, and the verse was absolutely beautiful. But the piano was so overpowering, right? And they wanted to do a reunion. They wanted to do a track, one last song, and it was released this year. What's it called? Here and Now. Oh my goodness. Right? But it's a new song, just released. Just punch in Boot Beatles latest tune and it'll come up right away. Very, very, it hit me, and it just hit me in a way, because of the way they were able to, in technology right now, isolate the songs and the tones of John Lennon, and they were able to actually pluck out, right? Just like a karaoke song. When you get a karaoke song and whoever the star is singing, right? There's no voice there, because that's supposed to be your voice, right? And so it was the same kind of idea, like in this Beatles song, that they isolated these different parts of this song that John Lennon was just practicing on a piano, and they wanted to include in this song that they wrote and released this year. And they were able to do it. Technology. What if something like that, because in my life, Cindy shows up, other parts of me show up, right? But they're parts of me. How amazing would it be if Google, right? Google, if anybody could do it, Google can, right? Be able to isolate those other parts of me by the patterning and the repetition and those different values that I have for myself that are very unique to me. And one of them I can state right now is I've got no tolerance and no interest in war. I have none, zero. I was so excited, right, for Elon Musk's interview with Lex Fridman today. Oh my goodness, I was so excited, and I got into it and I went totally to sleep. I even got up out of my chair, so excited to see, right? And right, because you could trust that content. And I went and I did the dishes. I went and did the dishes. The water's blocking it out. I'm not even paying a fraction of attention to it. And then I came back, sat down, and then I just sat down in a perfect moment of a perfect insight of Elon Musk, and it was something about the prisoners of war, and if you were to get caught, right, as a prisoner in war, they were talking about war. It didn't interest me, but this part interests me when you actually talk about the feelings and the giving and the kindnesses and the possibilities of avoidance of war, because obviously, right, I've just come to realize that I have no interest of it. Neither am I a stick sign person. I'm not that person either. Maybe somewhere's in the middle. Maybe it'll be a voice, but because the topics don't come across my path, it's not something that I munch on, right? It's not something I have an interest in. And I always think that, if I don't have something to say on that exact, right, something to contribute on that conversation, I'm not, because then it's just an opinion or I'm making up a lie. So I don't contribute at all in that conversation, right? Have a cup of coffee in my matching to my hoodie, my right with the gold tone. I like my coffee mugs. I do. Okay, but what Elon Musk was talking about, if you were to be caught in the war, right, and you had the Russians, and then you had people in South America, right, you had people in Africa, and all these different countries around the world, right? Who would you want to be a prisoner of war to, right? It would be to like the Americans, even the Canadians, but he mentioned specifically the Americans because he was able to make note and present the evidence that in the past America is known for its benevolent action. It's very many kindnesses and their treatment of their prisoners, right? That they it was really it hit home. It gave me some thought, but I wrote it down so that I could munch on it. I could tear it apart a little bit. But he was also saying that, for the Ukrainians not to send the kids to war, right? And that trauma is going to get to the kids anyway, because the kids are going to worry about their dads and their grandfathers and their uncles. And at the same time, we can't hide from the hairy, scary of it. And sometimes because we're motivated by guilt and shame, like we didn't contribute and dad died or my uncle passed away, right? Or my house got blown up, my whole family is gone. Sometimes, right, it's between a rock and a hard place. And in the motion of that moment, we make a decision. And when you're in that decision again, sometimes it's hard to backtrack on it, that we just keep moving with that, right? And so I would just say, yeah, probably, right? There are things that would be beneficial, but there are things that would be not beneficial. If it was the idea of keeping the kids away from trauma, probably not a good thing, because, right, that resilience is not there. I think a lot of the times that these kids watch and play these violent video games, and these video games of figuring things out, is to be able to release that in the system, and also, even if it's vicariously through video games, build up to the resilience of the possibility of these kind of things still happening in our world. And maybe, right, maybe they'll be the spaceship, right, they're off and they're flying around to different planets, and right, because they did so well on the video games, they'll make great pilots, right? But I don't question any of this because it doesn't really interest me. But what interests me is people's well-being, people's emotional well-being, and it gave me some food for thought in where I can contribute and how I contribute. And it's just sometimes in those difficult moments, just to be able to realize that as bad as things could be, that we don't just find things, but we need to find things to help right? And we don't always make good choices in that. But if we had projects, if we had things to help take our minds off, if we don't delve into subjects we're not compelled to be delving into, and sometimes we're delving into subjects because our friend or our dad or our mother, it's compulsory. They're compulsing about it, and they're compulsing because you feel that being sensitive and highly sensitive. You go, oh, I need to compulse in that too, and right, and then you're way down there, right? And sometimes you come down to the main branch, but a little part of you might stay up there. And this is constantly something that you're going to, right, work with. But today is the last day to talk about genuine. No, it's not even in the genuineness, it is in the truthfulness, right? It is in that truthfulness, because if we can alleviate, right, those things that, right, I gave up makeup about 3 years ago. You would never even see me leave the store to get a quarter milk. And yes, I'm older, but you would think as a person who is older, they would even want to fill in those craters and the wrinkles, and right. And you know, I have been letting myself go a little bit in those glasses, chipping my teeth, but I'm learning to jump on these things and make sure that I'm taken care of, right? That I'm able to keep up with the majority, because, I was brought up in that idea that majority rules, and I have to understand some of that genuine in us is just in our communal decision of what's the norm. And the bigger the community you live in, right, the more compressed, the more assured those norms are. And then anything that isn't the norm, right, is all on the outskirts. So what I'm trying to do is, in a genuine way, be able to get through that in a way that's genuine and still be able to be healthy in the process, right? To grow in that process and to be comfortable, right? To be comfortable. And I am grateful, because we know Cindy loves to yap, that I was able to find something that fit me, that was genuine to me, even though in the moment that I chose it for different reasons. I didn't realize that it was going to fit so well, right? And feel so perfect in its suitedness for me. Not even close. We're going to be, right? This is crazy town world, and right, there's a lot of light in the darknesses out there, and they're doing their very best to move forward. And oh my goodness, and one of those was Ren. I watched the behind the scenes of his newest song, part 3 of Money Game. Oh my goodness, it was so good. And I find him to be fascinating, but his surroundings and how he surrounds himself and how he presents himself off screen, I found that to be curious. I munched on that a little bit, because he's just the kind of person that I would love to try to move forward, right? Yeah, he's amazing, and he's got a long road ahead of him, but it could have been a lot harder, right? If he didn't feel his way along, if he didn't immerse himself in that busyness, right? Immerse himself in that busyness, right? And that's all that it is. And because he was doing what he loves, right? And he did it in a way that he loves, right? There's some enjoyment in there. There's there's some progress there. There's like movement forward, but a kind of way there is a little bit. Joy is not the word that I'm looking for, but it's because, you can only be joyous for so long before the grind hits you again. But maybe the word is accomplished. Maybe that's the word that I'm looking for, right? And each one of us does that in a different way. And, right? I wasn't into Elon Musk. I don't think I even finished. No, I definitely didn't finish it because it was a 2 hour interview. But I'm going to come back in, and then at the later end of the video, maybe I'll jump in again after the end, talking about war and stuff. It's just not my thing. It just does not interest me, and I do not want to contribute to that conversation. I'm not compelled in that way. And I think actually, right? Yeah, I'm not compelled in that way at all. Otherwise, it would come across my path and my feed, wouldn't it? Okay, you guys. Hi, Owen. Thank you for popping in. We are just finishing up the week. We were talking about genuineness. That's what we were talking about this week. Just being ourselves, and about, us also to understand that who we are right now isn't going to be who we are next month, next year, right? 10 years from now. We're in a constant state of change. We're always us, right? But it's kind of amazing when you get to actually have a say in that. And that's why I'm so grateful, and that's why I'm trying, right? To be that person that, that I would have liked to have had in my life, right? I would have loved to have some conversations with my father, right? I was totally unaware of any of this stuff, but I recognize now, looking back and putting myself in my father's shoes, exactly where he stood on these matters. And I think my dad would have been thrilled to death. He would have been so proud, right? To see his work manifest the way that it did. And maybe he would even have an insight of, right, where this might go. But in the meantime, right, we just carry on and understand that through our experiences, right, if you're doing it right, you're going to change. And there's nothing wrong with changing. I know people who were, you know really kind of low in their lives, and now they're examples in their neighborhoods and in their communities. But at the same time, I know, right, kings in their communities and queens in their communities are, right, and wake up to some ideas and go, right, they could have done a little bit better by themselves, right, most of all, right, and then as an example, right, done a little bit better by other people, because we can only lead ourselves, but at the same time, we can be the example, we can be the evidence, right? If somebody can see that it works. So it's important for us to show up, because uh, in our genuineness, right? The cookies who hang out with me, the biscuits who hang out with me, right? You're pretty smart and you'll pick it up in a minute. And I have no problem, right? Spewing my thing the way I spew my thing. You'll get what you get, and, right? And hopefully, if you don't get it, we'll come across your path again. Everybody, have a great weekend. We'll see you again on Monday with a new word. I'm off to work in the job that puts the roof over my head in the moment, right? And if you want to hang out with us, Sunday night we have another live show, Chatters Live. It's pretty casual. My moderators chat more than I do, and actually Owen is one of my head moderators over there, so you're more than welcome to come hang with us. Everybody, have a great day. Take care.